Interview.
Delighted to be joined by Tom Condon, two-time All-Ireland winner. I suppose, Tom, in the last 2 or 3 weeks since you announced retirement, what's the feedback been like?
Mostly good. So look, it hasn't been too bad. Phone's been busy, all right, and look, just getting all the messages from people and well wishes and stuff like tis great. Like, Joe, tis a great feeling to Joe that you have achieved so much. Like, and it's nice to be recognised, I suppose, for that. Like, because when you're inside, you're kind of in a bubble, so you wouldn't really realise what you're after doing for people and stuff like that. So it's nice. Yeah, as I said, the phone has been happening, but it's been all good mostly.
And that outpouring of emotion, I suppose you probably don't realise the impact you have on people's lives, especially when you get into lockdown in a while, but just the importance for people to get out and go see matches and things.
Yeah, like as I say, we're like when you're inside with the team and stuff, you're just in your own little bubble, like your own environment. You don't like you're literally getting up, going to work. You're going from work to training, and then you're going from training home and just going straight to bed. So like unless now you're meeting a lot of people during the day at work, like you're not interacting with that many people. Like, so as I say, you're inside with the group of players, and they become your family as such. Like, so after I suppose 2018 and just the sheer emotions out of people, like it was just phenomenal. Like, and as I say, you grown ups crying, and Joe, it is just something to behold. And I suppose like, it put things into perspective with the COVID and everything, like, Joe, that was all kind of taken away from people, like that they couldn't go out and go to matches, or they couldn't even just go down to the local field and watch a game and stuff like that. So like it had a massive bearing on people, and mentally as well, like, and it's, as I say, it's a tough time.
And you go out in a high with your second All-Ireland. Is that something you had planned, or is it after the win you reflected on it and decided to retire?
Yeah, well, I'm pushing on 34 now, like, so yeah, look, I suppose the one good thing about COVID, I suppose, if you could say a good thing, but it kind of showed you like that there is more to life than sport, like, and enjoy your families and stuff, and friends are most important, like, and I suppose it just kind of got me ready for the adjustment, because look, I knew it was coming soon, like, Joe, and last year, I suppose, being off with the COVID, it did give me a feel for it, and I kind of had the itch just before we got back. Towards the end of 2020, look, I got back playing with the club and stuff, and I picked up a bit of a nasty injury on my Achilles, like, so it kind of set me back, and I wasn't in the frame to make the squad and stuff for the first game, and I'd been kind of messing around for a few weeks trying to get scans and trying to assess properly what the damage was, and we weren't getting anywhere. I wasn't getting any better, so I kind of had to sit down with Caroline Currid and just talk to her and stuff, and I said, look, the body just doesn't seem to be letting me Joe drive on or whatever. And I said, look, I think the time is right, or whatever. I think I've nearly had my fill now. I said, I'll leave it to the younger fellas. And she was there, look, you've only 8-10 weaks. Who knows what'll happen in a couple of weeks, like, because I got the all cleared in to go back training and stuff. But I was playing catch up with the rest of the panel, like, as I said, they kind of had a bit of a head start on me. So, and I suppose, look, not making the match day panel, because I say I got myself back into a position to contest, to get back onto the panel, but I say, look, just in the end, I didn't make it. And I suppose when you're my age and you're not making the match day 26, like, it's compared to some of these fellas who are 10, 12 years younger than me, like, they're kind of aiming maybe 6 months down the line, a year down the line, they have the time to progress onto the 26 and stuff, whereas I didn't. Time wasn't on my side, like, so it gave me a different perspective as well, like, because in 2018 I got to come on and play some part in the All-Ireland final, like, and that feeling will never be matched again. And not making the 26 and being in the stands now, we're all about the 36 and stuff like that, but it's very hard when you didn't really feel part of the day, like, you were kind of put away up in the stand, I know, because of regulations and stuff like that, but Joy, it showed me that, look, the time is right for me to go, like, and I suppose, look, leave it to the younger fellas and let them try and progress on, like.
Yeah, and you just touched on 2018 there, and we'll get to that Ireland final, but earlier on in 2018, you come on in a game against Clare and you're sent off. At that moment in time, could you envisage the impact you play in that All-Ireland winning team?
Yeah, I suppose, looking back at it now, it was just, I suppose, a rush of blood to the head, a moment of madness, like, I suppose we were playing down in Cusack Park, like, to just a cauldron of just emotion and atmosphere and everything like that. And it was, I just remember, like, you're sitting on the sideline, you're watching what's going on around. You're not just watching where the ball is, like, and there was fellas being pulled left, right, and centre, putting it lightly, like, off the ball and stuff like that. And I suppose then Sean Finn got injured, and I got the chance to go on after, I think, just 10 or 12 minutes, and settled all right into the game. Got on a few balls, was going all right. And look, as I said, the emotions were high, and I turned around and saw Dermot on the ground, and I just ran in. Look, I hit Dave really belt of his shoulder first, and then look, I should have left it at that. But we went for seconds in, and I suppose look, it wasn't the thing to do. Like, but look, you learn at my age, you still learn. Do you know what? But yeah, I remember talking to John after, like, and he was there. Look, it is what it is. He said, you're probably going to get a match, if not 2 matches, like, and I got 2 in the end, and I was just there. Geez, I'm after. That's kind of hit me for me, like, this year. Like I said, who knows where we're going to go after this? And even at that stage, like, I was just there. Look, I'm 30, wrong side of 30 now, and I'm after doing something like that. And I said, geez, where do I go from here? But John, look, he set me down in Caroline and said, look, what you have to do is you have to go back into training there on Tuesday night and put the head down and work your socks off, like, and just feed back into the panel, like. And I suppose, look, I made a decision as well, like, that you can't be dragging yourself around. You have to show, especially the younger lads, like that. Look, it happens. These things happen. You have to put the head down and drive on. And it happened to Aaron early on the year against Cork. Like, he got sent off below in Cork, and I remember I went over and I had a word with him. I said, look, Aaron, I said, forget about it. Put the head down, train hard, and geez, he put in a serious effort. And I was there, you kind of have to follow now after you're telling Aaron that, like. So put the head down, and John said, look, who knows where I'll come, just be ready. And as I say, I missed the next 2 games. I think the next one, the Carlow game then was my last game serving the suspension, and got back in. I think I was back for the Kilkenny game. But as I say, again, when I wasn't brought on against Cork, when you were Richie and I think Seamus Hickey were brought on, you were kind of thinking, geez, I probably won't get any time this year. And then I say in the All-Ireland final, it was rare enough you have 2 substitutions in the full back line. And especially, I've mentioned it there before, myself and Richie McCarthy were sent down to warm up. And next minute, Mike Casey had to come off, and you see Richie going on, and you're just there, geez, that's my chance gone now. Like, and especially Seamus Hickey was on the bench as well, and he'd been brought on the previous game, so you were kind of there, geez, that's it now. And I remember I was walking back after just warming up, and Richie had gone on, and I sat down inside the dock, and I said, look, I'll see out the last few minutes here. I said, there's only what 6-7 minutes left here. I said, well, I'll see it out here and get onto the pitch to the lads, like, because at that stage I think we were 6 points up, like, and then all of a sudden I get the nod from John, come on, you're get on there quick. So yeah, as I say, at that stage then you're just thinking nothing else. Just, you couldn't even hear yourself or hear anyone or hear yourself think, like, inside there. The atmosphere was just, I remember it was just deafening. It was crazy. I'll never forget it. And you're just trying to get up to the pace of the game and trying to keep your men from getting the ball, basically, like. So
yeah, and look, most people have forgotten that Clare game, and right they will. But when Joe was standing over that free and you're inside in the square, I think Declan Hannon said he just hoped the ball went dead. If it went over, he'd go to a replay. If it went wide, ideal. But the last thing he wanted was dropping in there. But look, you were on hand.
Yeah, look, anytime you see Joe Canning standing over free, I suppose from his own 45 in, like, you're there. This is his territory. Like, he's well able to put it over. But I suppose, look, the fact that it was the 8 minutes played, and after a very bruising game, like, you're just there, you just don't know what's going to happen. Like, similar to Declan, you're just there, you're hoping this just drops out to the side, tails off to the side, and just goes dead, like. But I suppose when he hit it and it was in the air, you just kind of knew this is dropping short, like. And I suppose you're kind of there. Would you leave one fella up, or do you hold back and wait in behind? And then I suppose the last ball, you just decide, geez, just go for it. And even if you just palm it out or even header it out, just get it out, like. But as I said, there's a few of us went up for it, and it just kind of initially just kind of glanced off my fingers up into the air again, and luckily it just fell rightly into my hand, like. And it just a case of just leg it out and get out of there, like. But As I say, Tom Morrissey was on hand. He was always there on hand to support. Just give it to him and just keep running.
And was there any idea just to hold onto the ball so you actually had it for the final whistle, or?
I was kind of conscious that I'd take steps and I'd make catches made, like, because a few fellas would be slagging me saying I took more than 4 steps with it, like, so you were just trying to offload it and just run it out as quick as you can, because I think it was Jason Flynn was coming for me, so I knew I had my catches used up and I had my steps used up, so it was just a case to get rid of it.
And can you describe, I suppose, the few seconds afterwards and then the few days that we all had in Limerick around the time?
I suppose the initial 2 seconds after I clattered into Jason Flynn, but it just took off then, like, you just can't describe it. It's undescribable. You've been waiting all your life just for this one moment. Like, just, I've always said that if we could just ever get to an All-Ireland final, I was confident we'd win it, like, and it was just sheer happiness. Like, you have to training so hard with these fellas for days and evenings and nights. I don't know how many times a year, like, over the years, and just to win once, like, it was just something special. And as I say, that night, the days after it, they were just something special. Like, and I always said that the Limerick supporters, like, they're just unreal, like, and they came out in their droves and thousands, like, and I've never seen anything like it, and it was just brilliant.
It's a crazy few days. Is there any old stories you can tell us, or they all kept secret?
I remember. Off the top of my head, no. There's a bit of a picture going around of me, all right, with the Liam McCarthy, and I was asleep on a couple of slabs of beer, right. And it was just such a blur, like, because when you win it, like, you're kind of on a schedule the whole time. Like, that night we had to be just after the match, we had to be in underneath the stadium there, Hogan Stand, for a meal and post-match meal, and then you had to be in the City West in for a certain time, and you had to be downstairs ready in a certain room for whatever time, because it was all on TV schedule and stuff like that. So, like, you didn't really have time to process it, really, like. And even the day after, then, like, you were on the train on the way down, you had the thing in the Gaelic grounds, the parade over, like, so, like, you're just kind of caught up in it all. You don't really soak it in like you should, really, like. And a couple of days after, you were kind of pulled here and there to different places, like, which was brilliant, like. But as I say, you don't really take it in, like. And compared to even, say, 2020, we had 1 or 2 days that you could just immediately after, where you could actually just realize what you're after doing, like. But I suppose you just miss the emotion, the atmosphere from the supporters, like, that just makes it special. Like, it just wasn't the same without them, like.
Yeah, it wasn't the same, but I suppose it was nice that you were able just to be together as a team. I know you obviously wanted to meet the fans, but it is nice to celebrate the team to put in all the effort. Oh,
exactly, like, and don't get me wrong, like, it's still special to win in All-Ireland, but as I say, it's, at the end of the day, it's the fans that make the occasion and the atmosphere and stuff like that. But yeah, and I suppose on the plus side, in the fact you didn't have that, you'd know and pull and drag, and you didn't have to be here at a certain time, so you had time to soak it in with your teammates. And that's one thing we actually said. We always said after the 2018, like, geez, we're there, we didn't really have a chance to soak it in ourselves and have a chat about it and just take a breath and relax and just enjoy it, like. But I say, look, we've got to sample both sides of it, like, so we're kind of blessed that way.
Yeah, and that All-Ireland final win in 2018, it was a full circle moment for you. Mine in 2005, you lost a fancy Galway side. Was that on your mind at all in the 2018 final?
No, I remember going up in we were going up in the train that morning, and I always sit alongside Declan and Keane Lynch and Nicky Quaid, and I think it was Graham and Dara Donovan and stuff were across from us, and I was fully convinced going up in the train. I was there, we're going to win. Like, I said, I know, and not even doubting it. I said, we're going to win. And the boys were trying, just relax now, a small bit, Tom, whatever. Like, I said, no, I'm fully convinced we're going to win. Like, and to just, as I said, the boys were just trying to play it down, but I was just there. I was just so confident that we were going to win. Going up, I just never. You can't really reflect on the past too much, like, because it can play in your mind and pull you down. So you're just kind of focusing on the I suppose the next few minutes ahead and just what's coming. And as I say, the only thing that was on my mind was, I suppose, the 94, 96 All-Irelands, and that was in the last few minutes. I remember at one stage, I think Galway were after pulling it back to 2 or 3 points, and I was just there, I said, here we go again. I said, this can't be happening again. I said, it was just too, I suppose, it was frightening how real it was, like that this was just very similar to 94 and stuff like that. And you're just there, it starts playing your head in, but as I say, you just have to try to put that to the back of your mind and get on with it and get on with the next ball and stuff.
Yeah, and looking through your career is a real kind of roller coaster. You were through a lot of things. I suppose you started your career in 2009, and in 2010 you're met with a strike. So the 10 years between your career is a strike and a lockdown. I suppose there's not many people that can say they've been through them. We'll start with the strike. What was that like for you going into your second year and making that decision to step away?
Technically, there wasn't a strike. We just opted out. But I just think that we wanted change and we wanted to set higher standards for ourselves. And look, thankfully, it's paid off down the line. And it did take an influx of younger, new players. But I suppose from that whole saga in 2010, like after that, I suppose there was a decision made by a few higher people like that they wanted to make Limerick hurling better, and they set up the academies and stuff like that and started young, and there was real intention about and that followed on and as I said, that influxed in of these young fellas that had come through the academy, and they came on when John took over and stuff like that, and I suppose it just finished out what we had started.
Yeah, and you talk about building for the future. I suppose 2011 you were nominated for an All-Star. 2012 you pushed it very, very close. In 2013 you kind of made that breakthrough. How can you compare that Munster final win against Cork, I suppose, to All-Ireland final win? Because they must be similar, really, because the many years Limerick went without winning the trophy at all.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. In 2013, winning the Munster was like winning an All-Ireland toss. Because look, we never had any real success coming up along. So that was our first major breakthrough point. So that, as I said, again, the supporters and fans, just the field invasion after, it was just crazy. It was just something you can only dream about watching these on TV, and you see it, and you're just, geez, I'd love if that ever happened to us. And it didn't. It does happen, and you're just there. It's just pandemonium. And look, it's amazing how that was kind of like our All-Ireland final, there's the sensation, atmosphere, and then you compare that to winning the Munster in 2019 and 20. It was just I wouldn't say a formality, but people were just expecting it. Whereas 2013, no one was expecting us to do what we did. And as I say, we just kind of, I suppose, we didn't finish out the year the way we wanted to. We kind of slipped up against Clare, but still, winning that Munster, it just gave us a taste for what we wanted.
Yeah, and obviously in 2014, then you lost the Munster final, but that game against Kilkenny in the semi-final, what was it like playing that day in Croke Park within conditions?
Horrendous. It was, you couldn't even hurl, just crazy. As I said, the downpours, and you were there trying to just hold on to the hurley. You couldn't even strike the ball properly. You couldn't even. I remember Shane Dowling came out to take a free. It's either Shane or Declan, and I think he was only about 40 yards out, but he actually had to play it short to Declan, who was only 25 yards out, and he put it over. It was just that bad. He wasn't able to, and Shane Dowling would be a fierce striker of the ball, but he was just so bad, he wasn't able to grip the hurley properly, but you couldn't see. It was just, you were trying to look through the rain and the lights and everything. I remember, it's just crazy, but it's nice looking back saying you were a part of that. I'd say everyone kind of remembers that kind of game as well.
Yeah, and obviously you were nominated for an All-Star again that year. Is that something that you take notice of, or is just you go out there every day to give your best performance?
Well, look, the boys know that any day I go out and train or whatever, I'd always go 100% hell for leather, and if it's good enough, it's good enough. If it's not, it's not. And look, to get, I suppose, nominated and stuff like that, it was just, it's a bonus. It's nice. As I say, I've always just wanted to do the best I could and just win something for Limerick. It's just always been a goal of mine and a dream. It's just, I've always said it, going to trainings. I used to travel a lot with Donal O'Grady, and I used to say to him, Jesus, just to win something, to give it back. Just to give back something, Joe, because as I say, we're privileged to be in the position we are, and to represent your county is a massive thing, and as I say, just to be able to give something back, it's just great.
Yeah, and you mentioned that game in 09 against Tipperary. It was kind of like a turning point. John Kiley has referenced it several times. And when he came in 2017, was there an instant shift in the change in attitude in the team, or were you just continuing to build from 2010?
I suppose in 2011, when Donal O'Grady from Cork came in, he totally changed our kind of style of play. I suppose moving on from the old fashioned, just kind of get it and hit it into the forwards anyway at all possible. Donal O'Grady was more the kind of short passing game style, and as John Allen didn't kind of tweaked that a small bit then when he came in, and John Kiley was he was a selector with John Allen that year and stuff like. So John had seen like that there was a kind of a shift in the kind of the way we played and stuff. But then, as I say, when John and Paul Connork came in and Joe O'Connor, it just took it to a whole different level. Like, and it's very simple when you actually sit down and look at what they were trying to implement. Like, but as I say, the way their attention to detail and the trainings that we did, everything was relevant. You weren't doing endless drills for no reason. You weren't running laps and laps for no reason. Even all the physical work was done to an exact meter or whatever, and the drills were all relevant. Like, so it was all aimed at towards what we wanted to do and how we wanted to dictate games and stuff like that. And as I say, you actually sit back and analyze what we did. Like, you were there, why did we do this for years? It's just like, it's very simple. Like, you just use the ball well, you support the man, and you try, and the forwards just try and create space. Like, so now look, I suppose it does get a bit technical and stuff with puck outs and strategies and plays, but it all goes back to a very simple formula. Like,
yeah, and obviously the first year in 2017, you had 2 losses, but I suppose you were building. And in 2018, coming into that year, did you think that you could go all the way, or was it as you were winning games, you kind of thought?
I remember in 2017, 2017 was just kind of a year of John and Paul and stuff. They were trying to implement the way the style of hurling that they wanted to play. Like, so they were trying to integrate it into us. Like, so it took time. And as I say, like it was the first time we kind of had proper puck out strategies and gameplays and stuff like that. So it took a while for it to build, because I think it was the start of 2017 we got an awful beaten by Cork, I think, in the war for Crystal. I think they put 7 goals past us, like, and you would even, some people were like, John Kiley got a bit of abuse and he was being booed and stuff like that, you know. And it's just mad how we turned it around. But as I say, it's just like 2018. At the start of 2018, I did tell a few close friends. I said, watch the space. I said, Limerick will win an All-Ireland in the next 4 or 5 years. I didn't expect it to be 2018, but once it was just a bit of luck. Once we got that bit of luck and a bit of momentum, it was hard to stop us. Like, and as I say, it's just like the game plan. Just all of a sudden, it just kind of stuck. What we were doing, the passing, the shooting, it all started to come together. And as I say, everything just gelled properly. And as I say, once you start getting a bit of momentum, like, it's hard to stop.
Yeah, in 2018 it seemed to be all about momentum, but just the year gone, 2020, I know it was a lockdown year, but you were the favourite from the start and you never really let up. How could you compare the 2 years and the 2 squads, even though they're very similar?
Yeah, look, I suppose as I say, 2018 was just kind of our first breakthrough year. Like, so the momentum was a big factor in, whereas 2019 and 2020, you're that year, you're one more year, more experience, wiser. Like, so as I say, and psychologically, Caroline Currid, like, would have been working tirelessly on that, like, on our frame of mind and stuff like that. So as I say, you're gone from hoping that you might make the breakthrough to you're there, and now it's just to keep it there at that level. And it's just all about consistency then, like, and just sticking to the game plan and to what we're doing in training day in, day out. And eventually, even if things are going bad, it just keep sticking and plugging away. It'll eventually come good. Like, because Caroline Currid was a big believer, like, that you don't play on emotion. Like, once you start going playing on emotion, like, your performances become erratic. Like, and as you just stick to the system, stick to the game plan, no matter how, I suppose, wound up or whatever you are and stuff like that, you just keep doing the simple things and eventually they'll come right. And if you just keep doing the things 9 times out of 10, like, you know, it just follows on.
And obviously this year you weren't a start member of the squad, and you said you didn't make that 26-man panel. What was it like, that transition, I suppose, as you got older, and the likes of Sean Finn and Mike Casey, Rich English go into the side? What was it like transitioning from nearly a nailed-on starter for the Bones of a decade to being on the bench?
Yeah, it's I suppose in one way it's tough to take, but another way it's great to see like that there's just so much talent coming through, like, and you just know, like, any day you go training, you just know you have to be at the top of your game to even be considered, like. So, like, that's the one good thing about the panel. Like, there was just the competitiveness of the panel was just insane. It was just crazy. Like, you could have 3 or 4 fellas competing for one position, and you could send out any one of them on any given day, and they'd do a job for you. Like, you'd be confident. And as I mentioned before in other interviews, like, it's just the bond and unity that we had, and the tightness and stuff like that, and the competitiveness within the panel, it kind of drove the whole thing. And as I said, that leads on to what you were saying about momentum and stuff like that. It's just when you have that all internally, like, the rest of it will just look after itself, and you just, all you have to do is just replicate that to even 80% of what you're doing in training, and 9 times out of 10 it'll bring you through in matches.
And we've all heard the stories about the Kilkenny teams and their famous A versus B games. Is that something you did as well, that your own internal games are as good as a championship game?
Yeah, it's, I suppose, look, it just naturally, I wouldn't say it was forced, like, it just naturally came like that, because the players all around that were coming in were just so good. Like, it just, everyone had to be, as I say, performing well to even be considered in the panel, like, and everyone wanted to be on the match day 26, like. So you had every fella going absolutely gung-ho, like, for training for whatever length of time it was, like. And the matches were nearly as competitive as the championship games, like. And as I say, a lot of the time the so-called B team or whatever would give the A team a bit of a clipping, like, whatever, like, and on the scoreboard, and and in other ways too, like. But yeah, as I said, there'll be a lot of bills thrown as well, like, but that's all part and parcel of it, like.
And as a cornerback, what do you make of Limerick's current setup? Obviously, you've Sean Finley going for a third All-Star in a row. You've Richie English, you've Mike Casey, you've Dan Morrissey and Barry Nash this year. It's a wealth of attack or defensive options there.
Yeah, it's as I say, you're gone from competing with maybe 2 fellas to competing with 4, 5, 6 fellas, like, especially with Dan and Barry Nash now being nominated All-Stars. Like, Joe did unbelievable year, and like, they were kind of just thrown in the deep end, and that was a very kind of rare thing that you had Mike Casey, Rich English, myself, Aaron Costello, 4 in the full back line injured, like that. It's very rare you get that, like. So you're gone from competing with them 3 or 4 to competing now with Dan and Barry thrown in there, like. And look, as I said, it's just, as I say, you'd be confident any one of them would do a job in there for you, like. And they're unbelievable hurlers, like. And as I said, the competitiveness between them is just crazy, like. They're perfectionists, like. You'd be before training doing sidelines or doing what if the ball comes in at this angle, just hooks, blocks, everything, like. It's just attention to detail is just, it's gone through the roof.
And this year, well, please God, we'll get a championship. Will be the first time in a long time that you won't be a part of the panel. What's your hopes and expectations for Limerick this year?
Yeah, all going well. You'll be hoping to be a championship. It's hard to see what's going to happen now with the kind of rumours and stuff that are coming out. But I did an interview there last week with I think it was with Carl O'Kane on the Examiner Sport, like, and he was asking me about it, like, and I was just telling him, like, when you actually do sit back and analyse the All-Ireland final, like, we did make a lot of mistakes and we had a lot of unforced errors, like. And I just think that there is another gear in this team, like. And it's like, people say, "Oh, geez, he's mad for saying that," like. But when you're training with these lads day in, day out, you know what they're capable of, like. And as I say, I just think there's a lot more in them. So, like, I just think Limerick are going to be at the top table for a couple of years, like. And you'll be hoping that they'll maybe pull off another 1 or 2. But the main thing is just to give yourself the chance of being able to achieve that. And look, with the panel of players they have and the attitude they have, I think that there'll be plenty of opportunities.
Yeah, it's kind of scary for other counties here. There's another gear left in Limerick, I suppose.
Yeah, but look, as I say, look, other counties could be saying they have a couple of gears on them as well, which is true, like, because we know what you're up against. But as I say, they just have to keep bringing their A game in 100%.
And one Limerick legend, I suppose, that you've had a strong relationship over the years, and it's obviously changed down the line, is Kieran Carey. In 2008, if I'm right, you got an intermediate All-Ireland final. You're a cornerback and he's fullback. To play with a Limerick legend like that so early in your career, is that a big influence?
Yeah, it is stuff of dreams, really. Like, I suppose when I was only, 21, and you're playing alongside Kieran Carey, like, and it's just, I suppose you'll be kind of starstruck at the start, like, but then, as I say, when you're playing with him, you just realise, geez, he's just an ordinary fella, just like yourself, whatever, hurler or whatever. So Kieran just used to break the ball down to me and let me clear it. Like, so Kieran didn't do much striking, but yeah, look, as I said, it's just mad.
And I just want to touch on the club before you finish. Obviously, a proud Knockaderry man. They'll be glad to hear you'll be back for 2021. And are you looking forward to just having to go at the club without the commitments of the county?
Yeah, sure. Look, as I say, it is a privilege to play with your county and stuff like that. And I suppose the club does suffer in some aspects, like that. They don't see me from the start of the year probably till nearly championship. Like, so, like, you probably might get a week or 2 weeks training with them normally before championship going well. You wouldn't have played that many challenge games or league games with them. Like, so it'll be, it's going to be different. It's, as I say, I'm going to get a lot of getting to know fellas properly now, like, per se, in training and stuff like that. So you get to know fellas' style of play in as well, like, because you'll be with them more and stuff like that. It can be hard for club teams to welcome back in county players, if they've only one or two county players, like, trying to say where's their best position, or they're trying to their game plan and stuff like that. So yeah, look, I'm looking forward to it now.
Yeah, and just before we finish, there's a few questions I want. That's just simple questions, I suppose. Looking back in your career for Limerick, what was your favourite game you played in?
Favourite game? I would say I enjoyed the league game against Kilkenny in 2019.
You scored a point that day, didn't you?
Yeah. I was captain. I got a point that day. So I suppose, look, obviously the All-Ireland final, but as I say, I had 7 or 8 minutes. But if we're talking nearly full games, I'd be saying either the Kilkenny in 2019 or the Munster final 2013.
Lovely. Your favourite stadium to play in outside the Gaelic grounds, obviously, in Knockaderry?
Sure, obviously Croke Park, but I do enjoy Thurles. I like Thurles Field.
Yeah. The best player you played against? So not necessarily a marker, because I'll ask marker as well, but best player you played against weren't marking. I
suppose Henry Shefflin. I suppose I marked him there in 2012. Yeah, so I suppose you'd have to go with Henry, like.
And you're off the panel now, so you can answer this one. Who's the best player you played with?
The best player I played with. I could be getting a lot of text messages about this now. The best player I played with. Well, I suppose obviously you'd have to say I played with Kieran Carey, like. But no, I suppose on the senior team, I suppose just down to sheer skill level, you have to say Cian Lynch. Like, he's unbelievable what he can do with the ball and in training and stuff like that. And
is there a lot of things he does in training that we're not seeing out in championship games as well?
That Cian does?
Yeah.
Oh, ridiculous stuff, like. And it's not a case of showboating or showing off. Like, it just comes so naturally and instinct to him. Like, it's just, you'll be there doing drills, or you'll be playing a match, and next minute there's a ball and next minute he's gone with the ball, and you're just, how did he get there? Or he catch the ball behind his back or something like that. It's just some crazy stuff he does, like, in training. It's just ridiculous.
And it's a pleasure to play with, I suppose.
Oh, it is, yeah. You know he's going to pull something out of the bag. Like, he can just source a score or a pass that you wouldn't even attempt, like with a rifle or something like that. It's just crazy.
I'm sure you would have been glad to get your hands on him someday during your peak, but I'll leave you with that, Tom. I suppose we've been on nearly the bones of an hour. Thanks very much for coming on, and wish you the best of luck in your retirement, and obviously with Knockaderry.
No bother. Thanks very much, Jack.